Hey, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. We're so excited to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining us live. I am Jody Cordell, the staff writer and real estate licensee at theclose.com. And today we are going to be talking about how to launch an AI assistant to help you nurture your leads and convert them a lot more easily. So today I am joined by Rich Zweier, the founder of Rhea, which is an AI bot like you've never seen before. So welcome, Rich, to the webinar.
Great to be here.
Excellent. So today we're going to be talking about how agents can use an AI assistant to help them with their business, help them nurture their leads, probably for longer periods of time than what they're accustomed to help them convert more leads. So I wanted to start off this webinar today by asking the panelists, or not the panelists, but the attendees here, a couple of questions. So the first question, for everyone who is here, if you would mind answering this first question, how many of you right now are using some form of AI in your business? So just write me or yes in the chat so I can take a quick look. I just want to get a feel for how many people are comfortable with AI at this point. We got a couple of yeses. Yes, yes, yes. Good. That's actually a great sign, seeing so many people already familiar with and using some form of AI. Excellent. So if there's anyone out there who is not using AI, what is your biggest concern, or what's keeping you from using the AI that's available to you at this stage? Type in the chat for me a reason. See if I can see anything in here. Okay, somebody said they use it in their personal life, but not for work. Got a lot of yeses, Rich. That's actually a really good sign.
That's great. Yeah.
It's really excellent.
Yeah, I think everybody certainly has at least heard of or potentially played around with the ChatGPT, which has been like the most recent and biggest, I think, impact on how AI can be used very easily, in your day-to-day life or in your work. So it's super cool to see that over the last while that's grown.
I love that. So I've actually got one person saying that they aren't using it because they're not sure how. So, and I think that might be one of the biggest obstacles for agents right now, trying to figure out how to use all this new technology. So, but I wanted to ask you, Rich, as we're kind of getting things rolling, tell us a little bit about where we are now with this technology.
Mm-hmm. So, I've been in the real estate business for almost 10 years now, building products. And the one thing that obviously I hear from thousands of our clients, which is always going to be the biggest challenge, right, is I don't have enough time and I don't have enough money to do what I think I need to do in order to convert new business, right? So leads come in, or leads might come in through advertising or through referrals. Maybe that's nurturing leads, but they just don't have, they know they need to be doing more to be in front of those leads. But the reality is that at some point when you keep sending, marketing emails or email templates over and over and over, it becomes, people just become unresponsive. The game of the real estate, and I think everybody knows this, but we've never really seen a solution for it, is real estate is a very personal business. Conversation is important. And so AI brings this new element to actually being able to communicate to your leads, to your sphere, in conversation, not in this, scrollable email newsletter or big blasts that nobody really responds to. I think there's this generic shift of happening on all levels. On people just want to have a more personal relationship with their agent. So AI allows any agent to do that at scale, and that's what we're excited about bringing to the market with our product.
Yeah, I love that. One quick thing before I move on, I forgot to mention, you guys, while you're answering the questions for me in the chat, that's perfect. If you have a specific question that you would like Rich to answer, put that one in the Q&A at the very top of the screen right next to the chat button. That's a different tab. Put it in there so that I can easily find those. I will pull them out and make sure that Rich can address those for you by the end of this webinar. So sorry, I wanted to just make sure I pointed that out so everybody has a chance to ask these questions of you. So as you're talking about like people wanting to have a more personalized relationship with their agents, tell us a little bit about Rhea, how Rhea came about and what makes Rhea different from another regular chatbot that we may have been familiar with.
Yeah, so we started building Rhea in 2016, if you believe it or not. At the time, it was more focused on our core offering at the time was predicting future listings through another company. And it quickly evolved into what would be really cool if Rhea could talk to these leads and ask them qualifying questions and answer questions about the agent that they represent. But at the time, the technology just wasn't there. Around 2018, 19, that's when LLM, which is large language model, which is just a fancy word of saying, basically what you're experiencing with ChatGPT, this ability for it to talk and understand language started to become a reality in about 2020. And so we quickly started building toward that. And with the idea that if we could have conversations with leads and with pretty much anybody, that it could be a much more powerful element and really a game changer for real estate. And that's what we wanted to start off to build. And then, so we launched about a year and a half ago and started using it behind the scenes for a lot of our agents that were using our existing product with another company. And we were basically talking to about 15,000 leads a month. And we started seeing tremendous response rates were up. Conversion was up. It was really amazing to see. At the time before that, we were using call centers, we were using email blasts. We were kind of doing the same thing everybody else does. But it wasn't conversational. It was just very much like one size fits all. And, we all ignore those things now. Like when you get an email blast from somebody, it's like, no, delete, spam. When people, call centers call you and nobody wants to answer those phones. But now with AI, it can actually be personalized. It can actually understand who it's talking to, and it can have a conversation just like a human. So we were very overblown by how well it did. And so we quickly started focusing on that as a product. And that's when we launched Rhea. And so what it allows for agents to do is within minutes, you can launch your own AI assistant. You can do it right off our website. You can do it without even swiping a credit card if you want to play around with it for a few days. And you can train it to understand what your business is, who you are, what your style is. You can personalize it to speak a different way. Like we have an agent in Hawaii that, trained it to say aloha, on simple things like that. But we also have agents that trained it to understand, specific components of their real estate market. What's cool about it is, and what makes it different is when you launch it, it automatically is able to email, it's automatically able to text, and it's also available for live chat you can put on your website. So it's multimodal. It can really communicate just as if you were to hire an assistant. It's like if you hired an assistant today and taught it everything you wanted to know about your business and said, okay, your job, here's your phone number, here's your email, here's the live chat that you need to monitor on our website. And I want you to do this 24/7. I want you to respond within seconds. And I want you to also reach out to my old leads to see if there's any gold in them hills. It'd be like hiring somebody to do that, which obviously today, for most agents, very expensive to do to hire a full-time employee. And certainly they wouldn't work 24/7 for you. And they'd probably after 4 or 5 days start complaining. So this is something that you can benefit from AI, is that they always answer with a smile. And I think that's kind of the thing that was the magic that really made me want to focus on this. And it's been awesome to see how people use it.
That's amazing. It sounds like you basically solved all of my problems, because now I've just got, the ability to hire my own ISA to sit here and do this for me 24/7. That's amazing. So does it integrate with other systems, for example, like my CRM, so it can go into all of my systems and tap into my contact list?
Yeah. So what's beautiful about our platform and our system is that, and because we came from that world, right? So we understand, we've integrated with Market Leader, Boomtown, KV Core. We understand those worlds very well, especially in the real estate tech world that I've been involved in. So I knew that was like a critical component. So we built this so it can literally live in any environment. It can sit on top of any CRM system. And if you don't have a CRM system, or if you don't want to worry about it, it also just emails you the summary and scores every conversation it has. So even if you just wanted it to have it email you, it can do that as well. So one of our agents loves this feature, which is basically if it has a whole conversation with a lead, he's like, I don't want to read this whole conversation. I just want to know what happened. So our AI assistant summarizes it in a couple sentences and gives it a score of 0 to 10 on what the likelihood of that person actually buying or selling a home. So it just saves time and money, even beyond the conversation component. It does the work and also helps you understand it better. But yeah, it can easily then take that information, that conversation, that scoring, and easily pump it right back into your CRM system. And then the opposite too. It can actually grab leads that are coming into your CRM system and work those leads dynamically. What's really, really special about AI and what's really special about what we built within Rhea is it actually understands context. So you could actually take the notes from your CRM system, give it to Rhea, or actually you could call your AI assistant anything you want. People have fun with that as well. But it can actually learn about this person based on the notes you've already taken in your CRM and be able to intelligently understand when it's talking to that person that that we've engaged with this person before, or they might be looking for a specific house of a certain style or a certain price range in a certain city. And so it understands automatically, dynamically, hey, I'm talking to this person and they're looking at buying a house for $500,000, 3.2 in somewhere near Tampa, Florida. They automatically know that. So this person feels like they're not just talking to some dumb bot, that they're talking to somebody that actually knows the relationship. And that's super cool and very powerful. And that's one of the reasons why we love integrating with existing CRM systems, because it actually feeds what we call dynamic prompting. It actually tells our AI bot, hey, you're about to talk to John. So they're going to call them John. And you already have John's phone number, and John's looking to buy this, this, and this. Hey, have a chat and see if John's still interested in buying. And that's really it. I mean, that's what makes it so powerful.
That is very, very powerful. Someone's actually asked over here in the chat, how many languages does Rhea actually speak?
So what's really amazing about Rhea, and this is where the cheat comes in, is that it was actually a benefit that we kind of waited for this OpenAI, which is the company that launched ChatGPT,
Yes.
to get everything in order. We built Rhea on top of their platform. So every new innovation that OpenAI is able to achieve, we live on top of that. So OpenAI supports almost every language known to man. It's already trained on billions and billions and billions of pieces of data. So I always joke about this when people say, well, how are you different than this other bot? I always say, well, you should just do what I call the Tallahassee test. Ask it what the capital of Florida is. And if it says, oh, I don't know what the capital of Florida is, then it's really not AI. It's just somebody. It's kind of a closed system where somebody gave it some prompts, but it's basically just reading off a help desk, right? It's like, we all have experienced it when you go to the support bot and it's like, it's painful, right? It's like, yeah, I need help getting this and this and this. And it just says, oh, read these 5 articles. You're like, no, the whole point I'm chatting with you is I just want the answer. I don't want to read articles, whereas our bot doesn't do that. Our bot is literally trained on everything you could possibly train on. So if you ask it what the capital of Tallahassee is, it's happy to answer. And so this is what makes it powerful. And it's just no different than having a human. And so it's definitely a difference when you build it on such a powerful technology as OpenAI. So yeah, we have clients we have a Japanese speaking bot out there. We have a German speaking bot out there. And it's literally as easy as saying your default language is Spanish, but if asked, speak English. It's literally that. All you have to tell within our system is tell the bot to do that, and it works. It's really phenomenal stuff. I can't take credit for that part, but it's cool that exists for people like us to build products on top of.
I love that. And it does open up, Gina said in the chat, it opens up a whole world for international clients, and Florida being huge as far as international clients go. That's kind of an important thing for real estate agents in Florida. Woohoo! So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have, Spanish is a huge one, right? And
Spanish is another big one. Yeah. And of course, with all of these intuitive technologies, I'm sure that this is kind of a new thing for a lot of agents who might be on this call at the moment. They may have some experience with predictive analytics because it has been around for a little bit longer, and a lot about that coming from your background in the real estate tech. But how is predictive analytics versus like say a regular drip campaign versus the Rhea? Like, what is the big differentiator?
Yeah, so the easy way to explain it is, predictive analytics was kind of the first step in building out what we call AI, which is such a vast term and it covers so many different things. You have, and I'll get to that in a second, but predictive analytics was like the first step. It's really just basically building mathematical models to predict future outcomes. And so when we started working with predictive analytics in 2013, we were really using it to predict future listings. So we would take all this information, all this data that we get from the MLS, from the tax assessor database, and we would look at certain transactions and we'd say, okay, well, it looks like these types of houses are selling. So let's build an algorithm to score properties based on their likelihood to sell, which is very cool. It's very mathematically based. And of course, you can present that data in a variety of ways, but it didn't have anything to do with language. It was all very, very much mathematical. But then lo and behold, somebody at Google in their AI department discovered this concept where if they took this concept of the same basic mathematical models that built out predictive analytics and they applied it to language, that they could do something very, very cool. And that created this concept called large language models, which all that really is doing, even though it looks like it actually is a person talking to you, all it literally is doing is predicting the next word it should say. It sounds kind of crazy, but like when it pulls out a sentence, what it's doing, it's using trillions of data points and saying, I think the most likely word that I should say next is this word. And it just so happens it comes out like a beautiful human spoken, sentence. But that's essentially a mathematical model driving that. So large language it's kind of like the two sides of our brain. If you want to do analytics and you want to create mathematical predictions or models, you're using one side of your brain. But if you want to speak a language and do arts and create stuff, what's called generative AI, like I want to create an image, or I don't know if you've seen the news recently with OpenAI, they just released a thing called Source, which creates video. And also, of course, what Raya is primarily doing is generating text. So you have this creative side of AI and you have this mathematical side of AI. That's how I kind of look at it. And of course, they all are working together. But most of what you hear about today and what Raya is built off of is really the generative side. It wants to have conversations because its primary goal is to ask questions, to answer questions, and drive to a call to action that ultimately helps you as an agent do your job, right? It does the tasks that nobody really wants to do or they know they need to be doing, but they have nowhere to delegate it. And this is now, for the first time, you have something that actually can do the work really ad infinitum. It can it can do as many things as you want to give it to it in real time, which is super exciting. That's why everybody's super pumped about the future, because we can stop doing all these mundane tasks that nobody wants to do and going back to being human again, which is like why I'm so passionate about this project.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like this could be one of those types of transformative creations that could give us all back the time that we keep losing doing these tasks.
Yeah. So think about if you could take, people always say like, oh no, I'm so scared AI is going to replace jobs. And I always say it's not going to replace jobs. It's going to replace tasks. And there's a big difference. So yes. Humans will always be superior. I mean, for the foreseeable future, AGI or artificial general intelligence is very, very far in the future. And it's even further in the future if you want to make it affordable, right? Because it's very expensive to do this kind of stuff. But what we're talking about today is automating tasks. So if you were to list all the tasks that you do in your day and you say, man, I really wish I could have somebody else do this task or this task. And you have tasks that are 30-second tasks, you have 5-minute tasks, you have 5-hour tasks, you have 5-day tasks. What AI is going to ultimately help you do as an individual, personal, as well as a business professional is start automating those 5-second tasks, those 10-second tasks, those 5-minute tasks, and maybe those tasks that are on the list that you want to do, but you never do because you're like, I don't want to sit here and follow with those 100 leads that I generated last month, or I don't want to, or you're just sitting there going, I don't even know what to say anymore. How many times do you sit? How many times can I email somebody asking them if they're looking to buy a house? So like AI can help you be that creative source for that, if not just to generate that email, but to send it and respond to it. And so again, it's about automating tasks. And I always tell our clients to start there. Like, what tasks do you want to start with? And let's start with the low hanging fruit. And then as you get more and more comfortable, and then you're buying back time in your day, which you can do things like be more human, go out and build relationships, do things that can grow your business, tenfold. by creating, human relationships and doing business development instead of sitting in your office staring at a computer, doing all these smaller tasks that can easily be automated and given to AI.
So do you think that that's probably the easiest and the best entry point for agents as far as like implementing something like this, as far as incorporating Rhea into their business? Like, what's the easiest entry point? What's the easiest thing to give them to do?
Yeah. So the number one place that I always start with agents is just responding to leads and lead nurturing and qualification. So essentially, the way that we built out Rhea by default is it operates like an ISA. So any lead that you want to upload into Rhea or integrate with your CRM and have it automatically dynamically sent to Rhea, it responds with a SMS, an email, or if it lives on your website, it could be done in chat as well. But most leads come through a form like a Zillow or some other source, and then it comes into your CRM. So basically, Rhea would act like an ISA and say, hey, saw that you had interest in potentially buying a house in this neighborhood. I'm the assistant of Jim Jones, licensed realtor. Here's some information about Jim. Hey, what are you specifically looking for? Question mark, which is something that's so unique because most marketing and most outreach is what I call period marketing. It makes a statement, but because there's nobody on the other side that's typically going to reply, it just kind of makes a statement, doesn't invoke conversation. But now you have AI there, and even if it's 11:30 at night, it can respond. It can actually have a conversation. So the person comes back and says, yeah, I'm very interested in potentially buying a house. I'm moving down there next month. I'd like to look at some houses, maybe this weekend. And Rhea's great. And so Rhea is programmed by the agent to ask qualifying questions. And those questions might differ from agent to agent, but for the most part, it's like, all right, hey, are you currently working with an agent? No, I'm not. Awesome. Hey, what's your time frame looking like? Is it now, or is it 3 months, 6 months? Great. Would you like to set up a time to talk to Jim? Yes, of course. And you could share the calendar link. So it can be individualized and customized, but for the most part, it's asking the right questions to qualify so that Jim's not sitting here wasting time with tire kickers. He's not wasting time with somebody who's not necessarily serious or hasn't been pre-approved. So it's really up to the agent on how strict and how much the ISA is going to drive the conversation. But no matter what happens when that conversation is over, Jim's going to get a copy of it. There's going to be a summary, and it's going to say, hey, we scored this at 8. So Jim, even though it doesn't necessarily say here that it wants to talk to you, Jim, you might want to reach out, and Jim will reach out and say, hey, I saw you talk to my assistant. It sounds like I could help you. And there's a couple of houses that might fit your profile. I'd love to show you. So now you're as an agent, you're focusing on really the meat of what's going to drive your business growth versus like wasting time. And it could do outreach to your existing sphere. It could do outreach to people that new leads. So like that's the first, I think, low-hanging fruit. But
Right.
It also does some really cool stuff. Like internally, what we use it for, it can write within Rhea. You can actually we have it write your intro email and your intro text that we use for any sort of outreach that you want to do.
Yes.
And you can obviously edit it, but it just generates it because a lot of people don't have the creative energy to create like a very dynamic, persuasive email.
Right.
And because it's conversational marketing, it's not what people are used to. Agents are being told for the last 10 years, oh, it's really good to have a newsletter that's 5 pages long with 30 images and 1,000 words of text. But the reality is nobody reads that. And nobody responds to that because it's not the agent's fault. It's just we've been programmed, because we get so many of those from so many different sources, to just ignore it.
Yes.
But when you get an email from somebody that says, hey, Jim, just saw you hit my website. Hey, I got a few minutes right now. If you have time to talk, I'd love to learn more about what kind of house you're buying. Are you thinking about buying somewhere in Los Angeles? ? You can do that with confidence because AI will respond.
Yes.
An agent doesn't have the confidence to do that necessarily with their outbound marketing because there's no response mechanism maybe in place. So like this stuff is super exciting because it's going to change the whole dynamic on how you communicate, and it just opens up a whole new world. And the agents who embrace it are just going to be way ahead of the game.
I absolutely 100% agree. And I always encourage agents to embrace this technology because the people who are utilizing this technology are the ones that are going to beat out the ones who are not. That's what's really going to happen.
Yeah, because you're basically you're now able to. I love that we always ask us. I'm sure everybody talks about this when they're like the extreme busyness of their day. They're like, oh man, I wish I could just clone myself.
Yes.
Well, guess what? You can.
You can.
That for the first time, now you can actually get pretty close to cloning yourself. You can tell this bot to even have your personality, or if you want to be fun with it, you can have a different personality. So, it's just, you can train it and give it information so that it speaks intelligently and it's always happy. And it's always responsive. It's never in a bad mood. And what's great about it is it just allows you to kind of have a little bit of peace of mind, which as professionals, especially as agents who are pretty much on their own as entrepreneurs, that can be very stressful when you want to spend time with your family or you want to enjoy your weekend with your kids. And to know that, okay, what happens if somebody pings me on this new listing on Sunday at 9 p.m.? Do I, oh, it's okay. AI will get back to it and it'll be conversational, and AI will make sure that it sets up an appointment with me on Monday morning.
So how difficult is it for agents when they first get started to get the ball rolling, to get it set up so that it's doing what it needs to do initially?
So yeah, we work really, really hard on making it easy. So, one of your first questions is, a lot of people, and I saw a lot of the answers is, yeah, I don't really understand how to get started, or AI is complicated. And ChatGPT isn't a great example of a simple use case of how AI can be powerful. You go in there and you ask a question, it responds. But obviously that's within a closed system, and it's very hard for you to imagine how you take that and put it inside of your business like an AI assistant. So we did that. So essentially the same power that you have with ChatGPT driven by OpenAI, we put into a system that literally takes 90 seconds to launch your first bot. So you go to our site, you click on build a bot, and you just go and ask you a bunch of questions, and it gets you started. And at the end of that 4 or 5 steps, it generates a phone number, generates an email, generates a live chat, and you can actually start talking to your bot right then and there. Now, obviously, it doesn't do the full integration with your CRM system. It doesn't do all those other components. But what it's there to do is kind of show you the power of our platform and how easy it is to set up a bot. And then once you've set it up and kind of experienced it, you can text message it, you can talk to it. Then if if you think it's valuable to your business, you can upgrade. And once you upgrade, then we help you with all the other stuff. We help you fine tune it. We help you train it better. We help you understand what prompts there are. We use information from your website or from other sources to help train it even more than what you might have trained it through the initial process. We integrate it with your CRM. We help you set up your intro email, your intro text if you're going to do any outreach to existing leads. So like all that stuff comes after you upgrade, but at a minimum for free, for 72 hours, you can experience how easy it is to set up an AI bot, and you can literally share it with your friends. Oh yeah, text my bot or email my bot, and you can experience what that engagement is like. So it's pretty powerful, and something that's super, I think it's just super easy for anybody to do.
Beautiful. I have a couple of questions over here since we're getting close to the end now. And let's see here. One of them is, it sounds like Rhea can be used for both buyers and sellers, which yes, it can. Rhea asked for a confirmation before replying to the lead or client to check how the AI replied to the lead and make sure it makes sense and it doesn't say false things.
Oh, totally. Yeah. That's a great point. So what we do when before we launch the AI, we do training. So the first thing you do is you actually get a chat bot as well as text, as well as like I said, an email and a phone number, but you can actually go and do what you think. You can put the hat on as like, I'm going to be a pretend lead and go at your bot. What's beautiful about it is you can ask every single possible question you want to ask it. And then if it answers it wrong or a little bit off, you can go back and you can go back and dynamically add that to your training. So that's what's powerful about it, is like we have an agent in Texas that's doing things, and they have certain rules in Texas. You can't say this, can't say that. So you just tell the bot, do not talk about religion, do not talk about race, do not do it. Now, OpenAI, what's cool about OpenAI is they have a lot of this already baked in. Like they're doing a significant amount of what's called human feedback training for their bots to avoid these kind of issues. But you can actually add on top of that within your bot training and say, never talk about this, never talk about this. Or you can also say, hey, here's how I want you to answer this question. So you can be very specific. You're given a lot of leeway on training your bot to make sure that it does the right things. But we always test no matter what, and again, all these conversations are seen and are stored within our software and also shared via email. So this is a real-time thing. It's no different than, like, think of it like a website. Like you put up your website, and when people come to your website, there might be old information there. Oh, I went on your website and I saw I called this number, but there was no answer. Oh, we forgot to update that number. It's no different than that. You're updating this bot on an ongoing basis and saying, this is what you know. And if you want to, you can be very restrictive with the bot. You can say, I only talk about this specific stuff. And it will reply to any question that's outside the scope of, what you wanted to talk about. It will reply, hey, it's not my job. I'm here just to talk about this. But once people experience it, you'll start to see and become very, very comfortable with it. it doesn't, it's like the most positive person that you could ever possibly, talk with. And it never really goes down the route that people think it would. In fact, I would argue that if you hired a human assistant, there is a higher likelihood of that human assistant saying the wrong thing or giving off the wrong attitude at a much higher degree than the AI would, right? So like that's always going to be a risk that you're going to have to address. Right?
Well, before we're basically already out of time, Rich. I know it went by super fast, and I know you had an offer for everybody that's on the webinar today. If you wanted to go ahead and share that now,
so you can. This offer is good for our second tier package, which is what most people, as an intro, buy. You can start with your first spot. It's $299 a month, but the offer gets you $100 off. So you can start with $199. That gets you a full customized AI assistant that you can integrate with your CRM. It gets you email, SMS, and web chat. So it's really an amazing value, and essentially the equivalent of hiring numerous human beings to do the same thing. So anybody who's potentially looking at AI and wanting to launch an assistant to help their business is like a no-brainer to try it out. And again, you can go and actually build your bot and play around with it. So it's like zero risk that on your side of understanding how it works. But then when you're ready to pull the trigger, just use the promo code R100 when you buy. And that promo code will be good for the next 72 hours. So just type in R100, it'll take off the $100 and get going. And, we love our tech so much, and we only want people to use it that actually see value in it. There's no contracts, there's no games, there's no like craziness here. It's just, here's what it is. You go on there, you can build your bot, play around with it. If you want to talk to one of our experts, you can set up a demo time and they can walk you through the platform and talk about the details of it. But you pretty much get 90% of what it is right off the bat. And really, it's a decision of like whether you want to save time, money, and pain and suffering is what I always say.
And close more leads, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, everybody. If you're a mathematician like me, 5% of every person in your database is going to probably sell or think about selling their house this year. And with all the craziness that's happening right now with commissions and lawsuits, it's absolutely important that you recapture your connections with every single person. So think about how powerful it is when you text or email people that you know or people that have been in your queue for quite some time, a very personalized message, and have a good conversation about it as if it was somebody that you trusted doing that. It's such a powerful maneuver. And I mean, you can monetize your database like so easily here, and I know if every agent had infinite time and infinite patience, this is what they'd be doing. They would they'd wake up in the morning, pick up their phone and call everybody they knew. They can't do it. And they text everybody they knew. How you doing? I'm not even talking about real estate. I'm talking about just being a person and saying, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on with you? Just having that information and sending it out to, even if you started with 100 people in your sphere, and let's say 30 or 40 people got back, and just to be able to read those conversations, go, oh, no, now I'm going to reach out to this person because I didn't realize they just had a baby and they're thinking about upgrading their house or whatever. And then it becomes a potential transaction. But it's a lot of work,
It
being
is.
an agent. And so anything that can relieve that, I think, is invaluable.
It's amazing how powerful this technology is already, and it's out there and available for agents to tap into right now. Thank you so much, Rich, for joining us today. This has been super, super informational, and I'm everybody's saying it's been very, very enlightening, all the information that you've shared today. So we appreciate you sharing with us today.
Thank you so much, guys. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, guys. Bye.